Forgot to turn on my lights. Welcome back, my spooky little beans. I'm Skeleton Belle, and today we are reviewing the 2024 haunt season, which does include Christmas haunts. A good haunted house isn't cheap, and a cheap haunted house isn't good. That is wrong. A haunted house is not like getting a tattoo. It can be good regardless of the price, but I'm here to tell you if that price is worth it. That being said, it's all about also who you go with. A good group can really add to the experience. Even with haunts that are cheesy or overall underwhelming, I usually have a great time. This video is a long time coming. I forget a lot because it feels like my brain operates at the speed of light most days. That being said, I also have an incredibly long processing time. So when haunted house owners want direct feedback from me within like minutes after going through the haunt, it's usually like, well, you gotta wait, it's coming, it's just gonna be after tomorrow, because that's when like the gears turn in and then my photographic memory turns in and I can picture myself walking through the haunt. I know what you're thinking.
This lady's crazy.
No one likes haunted houses like you.
What I really find interesting is what lingers with someone days, months, years after visiting a haunted attraction. Like, what scared, amused, or resonated with you the most, along with the lingering impressions, even when you can't remember every little detail of a haunt. So some of the haunts, we're going to discuss all the haunts that I visited for the 2024 season. I was given admission for free for all of these haunted houses, which was unexpected. And if you want to see everything in much more detail, including video footage, please visit the different reviews for each individual haunt, because those will be the most detailed and you'll get to see all the footage. But for now, I'll be showing clips off along with discussing each one, which we're going to kick off with Deranged, which is in Romulus, Michigan, and tickets are around $25. They're actually having an event coming up this May for 2025 for halfway to Halloween. They were the first haunt to give me a chance in 2024 when I first started sending out my carefully written letters. I was the first person to go through their haunt years ago, I believe back in 2018, and it was an honor to be back for 2024. It was one of the longest haunts and most entertaining haunts this year, and I definitely laughed here more than anywhere else. Lots of adult-themed jokes, and attention to detail has really grown over the years. They are definitely not the same haunt that I visited back in 2018. Acting was a strong point. The cult scene actors, the janitor, the sad clown, Mr. Sinister, and his ability to puppet the skeleton, the camp counselor who had us doing exercises. You're going to see a very unique theme here, very unique story, and it's very prevalent as they're going through the haunt. They actually work with their environment really well, like Camp Zika, which is really funny because the place is just loaded with mosquitoes. You might want to bring bug spray if it's a worm day. I'm just saying, it is very buggy. But we had a great time. It definitely, I think it took like 30 some minutes to go through the whole thing as well. Definitely recommend Deranged. It's grown over the years. They're only getting better. They have a night specifically catered to for 18 plus. I'm really honored to have been there, invited on media night. I wasn't expecting that, and it was just a lovely experience. I got to go through and learn that 90% of the haunt is basically bought from Amazon, which is really great. And if you want to know more, please visit the full review, but I highly recommend Deranged. And also, they're not too far away from a lot of other haunts, so if you're looking to hit up multiple in one night, it's very easy to do when you're near Romulus, Michigan, which also happens to be next to Eloise Asylum. Next, we're talking about Distracted, which is in Bowling Green, Ohio. $25 admission. Distracted is an intense indoor mall-style haunt where nightmares come at you in all directions, and one of the things I've always loved about Distracted is
Its intensity.
What is it?
I've been through this haunt multiple times over the years, including the transition between locations. The actors really know how to read the groups coming through and know how to portray their characters. The passion and creativity used in this haunt is evident on every wall, scene, prop, and costume design. They utilize their space very well. There are no gimmicks or generic scares or themes. Now, generic isn't always bad, but they really strive to pull you into ongoing nightmares here at Distracted. Their sense of unique, it's just, it comes off as natural for a lot of the actors and how they develop things. And I love seeing the creativity that they do. So I also highly recommend Distracted. It was one of the most intense haunted houses that we went to. you're not easily scared, maybe you won't be, but I don't know. Distracted is pretty intense. The next one we went to around the same time was Kester's 'Tis the Season in Swanton, Ohio. It was $22 for admission. I feel like this one isn't as well known. Honestly, I saw it from a billboard. That's how I learned about it, and I went ahead and wrote them a letter. It is a haunted cornfield and a haunted woods, and the haunted woods was much better overall performance for Kester's than their cornfield, which is mostly just a walk in the dark with a few interspersed signs and animatronics. I did enjoy the haunted woods though. Definitely where the most effort went, I believe, was the woods. The toxic waste area with the water was visually just beautiful and very appealing. And I wish that idea was utilized more throughout the haunt, maybe integrated more. Just, I love the glowing effect. Apparently it was used with plumber's dye. Never would have thought of that. I thought it was like highlighters. The quicksand idea that they use is very cool, but a member of my group thought it could be disguised a little bit more. I'm not sure if you could for safety reasons, because you need to be able to go around it if you have physical impairments. The witch area and the casket area were all really designed well, and the actors performed very well. They're very creepy. And some of the actors lurking behind us, or the one on the bike, did a great job. I didn't even notice they were there for the longest time. I don't know how long they actually followed us. And overall, it was like walking through horror movie sets within each area, and it was a very enjoyable experience. And it seemed to be very popular with teens and kids. So if you're looking for a more family-friendly catered haunt, Kester's 'Tis the Season might be the haunt that you're looking for. Next is the Scream Machine in Taylor, Michigan. This was the most intense haunt of the year for myself and my team. Tickets range from $20 to $26. It does depend on the day that you go. They are actor heavy. I mean, like 40 to 45 actors in this relatively small building, but they utilize their space well, and they know how to improvise. I love how every hallway and room is unique, and the sparing use of animatronics. They hardly have any in there, and it's really nice. The actors here are relentless. There is no downtime. You do not get rest. They are
literally everywhere.
You will not know. From the moment you park, the entertainment begins. They might even crawl in your car, and I do mean crawl. From the moment, like, again, the entertainment here, the entertainment factor, even if you don't get scared, they're going to make you laugh. The rat puppet, I love it. If you go, you'll figure out what I mean. Don't be fooled by the unassuming exterior. This haunt can and does compete with the high budget haunts with their creative set design, dedicated scare team, props, costuming, makeup, and special effects. You get it all here at the Scream Machine. It was definitely a favorite amongst my team, and I would say a close second for me, because my favorite is the one we're going to discuss next, which is Erebus in Pontiac, Michigan. Now, hearing back from Ed to Erebus, when I wrote this letter, I never expected to actually hear back. But I did, and I freaked out in the best way possible. And so Erebus, ticket ranges range from $25 to $39 depending on the day. They're open most days of the week as you get closer to Halloween. They are a very immersive experience filled with apprehension, misdirection, and illusions. You will be touched or pinned or bit to the wall by animatronics. I've been to Erebus 3 times, and this was finally the time that actually scared me, and I rarely get scared. Like, it's very rare. I dropped on my ass, which was a little embarrassing, but it happens. If you don't scare easily or at all, it's a really cool experience and very entertaining. It is a lot of walking and squatting though. As someone with health issues, it was a little difficult for me to navigate, but I had help from members of my group. And with the uneven terrain, inclines, declines, cramped spaces, I'd recommend taking precautions if you have physical limitations. And that being said, also, I didn't really care for the buried alive experience. It really kind of just, it broke up the experience as a whole for me. I feel like it didn't really add anything to the haunt itself. That being said, it's still worth going to go visit the rest of Erebus, because some of the rooms, like being swallowed by a giant pumpkin monster and the various pumpkin props and animatronics that were new, were incredibly just jaw-dropping.
It was gorgeous, I'll just say that.
There were a lot of things in there, like, yes, the animatronics will touch you, the actors will not. They'll get very close though, and there are things you won't think are actors or you won't think are animatronics, and it's gonna like flip-flop on you. It was a great experience. I highly recommend Erebus. The next we're going to discuss is Manor in Holly, Michigan. This was by far the worst haunt of 2024 for my team, and by far the most expensive. They are cash only, which I don't understand, because the Renfair's like not even a mile down the road, and they accept credit card and have Wi-Fi. one of my bigger complaints. And of my 3 visits to this haunted attraction this past year, 2024 was the worst year. It sucks that they have gone downhill so much. They were obviously very short on actors
For every single haunt?
noticeable since the place is also very large. They're very spaced out. There was way too much dead time where there were no actors, no animatronics, no ambiance, no music, and little in the ways of, if any, effects at all going on. We were told they were understaffed and they don't have as many actors on Thursdays and Sundays, which aka you get a lesser experience, which is not worth the reduced price in my opinion. And we're going to talk about price. They have gone up every year for all 4 haunts, which does include the Manor, the Asylum, the Hayride, and the haunted House of Wax. There's no actors in that one, the House of Wax. It's just a couple of animatronics. It's not really meant to scare you. That was a unique experience, but a little overpriced in my opinion. The price cash only for just the haunted house, this does not include VIP or anything, is around $95 a ticket for
Around $95.
for a Friday or Saturday in prime season. This would be October weekends. You're going to find a reduced rate, which I believe is around $75. I could be wrong, and I also don't know what their 2025 prices are going to be like. However, it is quite expensive, and you're paying very premium money for what I don't think is a premium haunt. That being said, the Hayride is very cute, and I do recommend if you want to go, if you're going to pay for a part of the haunt, I do recommend the Hayride. It's also fairly family friendly. It's a great experience, a little bit heavy on the fog at times for if you have asthma, and one of my team members does have asthma, but again, he carried an inhaler with him for emergencies. The Hayride was pretty entertaining. That's the one I can say I would recommend. However, it just seemed throughout, the actors there did a decent job. Every aspect of haunt, for the most part, they were definitely trying their best. They were stretched too thin, and I'm not blaming them. There were areas where there just wasn't. They relied heavily on animatronics, which it seemed like the scenes were rushed and uninspired within the Manor and in the Asylum, and overall I left feeling disappointed and bored. To the staff, you did a wonderful job dealing with the crowds despite being short-staffed, and you were very friendly, and I really enjoyed that. Next, we're discussing Eloise Asylum in Westland, Michigan, and let's be honest here, Eloise is all about the history in the building. That gets people in the door. However, this is a high-budget haunt, multi-million-dollar haunt, and it shows in nearly every room you're in. The Asylum is largely a high-caliber haunt than the Nankin Project, because there's 2. There's the Asylum and the Nankin Project. Nankin relies heavily on expensive animatronics, and not all of which were even working on our visit, or they're just kind of timed badly because people are going through at a rush pace. This is a touch haunt. You can purchase, like most touch haunts, purchase a necklace or some sort of item to keep them from interacting with you. However, the touches are extremely light. Their Hollywood level set design and state-of-the-art projection mapping really set them apart from many other haunts. However, there were large gaps between any scares. Acting was a bit lacking. Music was so loud you could feel it in your feet, and some of the more amazing props and scenes were intermixed with cheesy and generic animatronics. And they funnel people in the haunt quickly, so the experience isn't really as focused on you or your group like at other haunts. If you're looking for a more targeted or personal experience, I'd recommend a different haunt, but Eloise is still worth experiencing because it still has a lot of unique features to offer, whether you go by yourself or with friends. I am looking forward to going back this year because the operations manager told me there are big changes coming, and I'm really looking forward to that. And honestly, despite their flaws, I went for 2023 and 2024. I still had a great time. And honestly, the fact that they let me film there, and after the letter I sent them, they invited me out. It was an honor. It was still truly an honor. So Wiard's Night Terrors in Ypsilanti, Michigan. This would be my second time going back, the first time in 2018, and my opinion is largely unchanged about them. I don't think they've changed anything about the haunt really whatsoever. Ticket prices vary, but if you do all 4 haunted attractions, which is the Hayride, the Ultimate Haunted Barn, the Mine Shaft, and the Asylum, it's around $57 per person for general admission, which is a little steep in my opinion, and an additional $7 if you want to do Alien Cage Clowns in 3D, but that wasn't open on Halloween. Alien Cage Clowns in 3D isn't worth it. Each haunt took around 3 to 5 minutes each time. We did time it. We did not time the Hayride. I would estimate around 10 to 15 minutes. The Hayride was very charming, very nostalgic, really enjoyed the Hayride Mima team. It was the rest of the haunted attractions that led us. We were disappointed. We'll just say their whole midway with the fireworks, the karaoke, their set design, their ambiance that they put on for the midway, gorgeous. Absolutely like gorgeous. One of the most beautiful uses of lighting I have seen in both the hayride and the outside of the haunt, the whole midway and the setup that goes into the haunted houses, which makes you think the haunted houses would actually be good even if they're short, but they weren't. They were incredibly lacking, and generic doesn't begin to describe just how lacking they were. And also the Asylum had a lot of issues with incredibly heavy fog, and my friend has asthma, that didn't go over very well. I thought we'd have to take the emergency exit. I was having trouble breathing, and I don't have a condition, it's just for that. It was just incredibly hard to breathe, the amount of fog, and the strobe lighting was probably the most intense strobe lighting I've ever been through a haunt, which I remember back in 2018, I thought maybe it was something had gone wrong, but no, that is just how intense it is. But that being said, in the Asylum, they had a really disturbing puppet animatronic. Really enjoyed that as like someone that was segmented in pieces and sewn back together, and the way it moved, really cool. Lots of cheesy scares here, but it is still fun. I would classify this as like really family friendly. If you have some spare cash and you're around Halloween, you have some kids that aren't quite up to something like Eloise or more extreme, Night Terrors is a great way to introduce them to a haunted house, especially a haunted hayride. I thought that was very charming. It gives you that nostalgic Halloween feel, brings back what you like when you were a child, and I think it's still worth visiting at least the hayride. We're going to discuss Scream Machine's Not So Silent Night, which is the last one we're discussing today, and that was obviously their Christmas haunt. Still, they're in Taylor, Michigan. They were around $25 ticket. I loved Jack Frost and the ice effects within the haunt. Even the somehow cozy vibes mixed into a haunted house really worked. I love how every scene is so like the transitions are done just beautifully. I love that they always have unexpected scares and hideaways for the actors. It's like one big dysfunctional family with how the actors interact with one another, and I love how all the actors interact with you and come back with rebuttals. If you say anything, you're always entertained. Even if you're not scared, you're entertained. The cards to Santa were a nice touch for those that weren't too scared to slow down and read them. Like, oh, Santa, all I want for Christmas is my baubles to drop. And my favorite costume was the Nutcracker in stilts. I'm biased, I'm not sorry. I love when people are on stilts. I love Nutcrackers, and it was just creepy enough, and it was great. Overall, it wasn't as scary as their Halloween show, but it was still just as entertaining, and it had like a lot more adult comedy to it. An actor actually got in my car with us at the end and violated my skeleton. That was a whole thing, and a piece of his mask broke off, which wasn't, supposed to happen, but industry hazard and all. And it was still a great time. And I just love that their actors go so hard here, just like Distracted. Scream Machine and Distracted are kind of equal when it comes to acting. They go really hard at I almost feel like they're gonna hurt themselves or make themselves sick. They go so hard with their acting. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today. Let me know if you went to any of these haunted houses, or if you went to one in 2024 that you particularly liked and that maybe you want me to check out if it's in Ohio or Michigan. I'm not up to traveling quite outside of those states yet. And if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe for more, and I will see you guys later.